Hello, good morning, all my dear students. I hope you are doing well. So, here I have brought part 2, chapter 15, Improvement in Food Resources, class 9, subject Science, by your Sonali teacher. I hope you will enjoy part 2. So, in our previous slide, we covered till methods of irrigation, and I told you the next topics we will cover for the part 2, the next slide. So here we'll start with the cropping patterns. Now the first part already we have discussed about why we need to have a varieties in our crops, what are the ways which we can increase the yield of our crop, what are the way we can get the hybrid food and the cereals. So this all methodology or technique or skills, they are dependent upon the cropping patterns. So here we are going to discuss that how different way the agriculture activities are partake. So different ways of growing crops are used for maximum benefits. Now this includes mixed cropping, intercropping and crop rotation. Now you might be aware what does all this mean, but let's discuss about them in detail and to be very specific. Now mixed cropping, that is like you grow wheat as well as you grow a gram together, like you have to take one cereal and one pulse. So both way, now pulses will of course extract the nitrogen from the air. At the same time, wheat will have certain requirement of nutrients. So if your soil is 50-50 divided in these two crops, so your soil will not be only deficient with a specific type of nutrient. Let's say an example, suppose you have a farm with 1 acre. So 0.5 acre if you grow pulses and 0.5 acre you grow wheat. So that way you can balance the nutrient in your soil. But if you grow entire 1 acre pulses, so next year your soil and your land might be deficient with the specific nitrogen element. Or if you just grow a mustard, or if you just grow a bajra or a wheat, your soil will be deficient with the certain type of macronutrients and the micronutrients. So to get rid of this, so scientists and the even agriculture practices have come with the solution which is called the mixed cropping. Now word or the name itself suggests mixed cropping, that means you have to grow your crops in the different combinations. So here the growing two or more crops simultaneously in the same field, that is wheat plus gram, wheat plus mustard, groundnut, that is a good source of fat and protein, plus sunflower, etc. This reduce the risk of even if one crop fails. So yes, this is also important topic. Suppose by chance if one of the crop gets failed, so farmers don't have to pay all the loss, or he don't have to suffer all the loss altogether, because his second crop is successful, and by selling it he can at least make up for the loss which is he could not make the profit. So you can say that you should always have a plan B. So yes, here it is plan A, plan B. Farmers always give their 100% that both the crops will grow well and he will get the good yield out of it. But somehow if due to excessive rain or less rain, or due to some or the other reason, if one of the crop out of two gets failed, the plan B, that is the another crop, will by with the farmers are going to survive for the next entire year. So that way the mixed cropping is so important. The second portion is intercropping. Now intercropping is the growing two or more crops simultaneously in the same field in alternate rows. Now here what you are doing is, one row you are growing maize and the second row you are sowing the seeds for the soya beans, or you are growing the plants which are like millets and the cowpeas. So this way the one row is of particular crop and the second row it's like an alternative, like odd and even. You know, in your class also you sit like this, one boy one girl, okay, so again boy and then again girl. So that way the intercropping might help them to save certain nutrients and the other crop will be also benefited with those kind of nutrients. So crops with the different nutrients requirements are selected. This helps in a better use of nutrients and prevent the spreading of disease to all the plants of the same crop. Now generally in your class the most talkative ones are like like they are separated with the other talkative ones, else the class gets disturbed, that. Yes, we do this. So similarly here also we will choose a combination which will complement the other plant. So in a way it might protect that other plant with the diseases, against diseases, or it might provide some essential nutrient for that other crop for the better growth. So mixed cropping is just you divide your cropping, like you just divide your farm into two part and you have a mixed cropping, or you just have a intercropping which is with the use of row. Now the third is crop rotation. Now crop rotation is like this year they grow wheat, for next year they have some other options. So growing a different crops in the same field in succession. That means suppose this year 2019 if they have grown, last year they had grown bajra, so 2020 they will think for some other crop which might be maize or wheat or rice, dependent upon the suitability of the soil. Now it's not that they think like okay let's grow apple here this year, so it is possible. No, even in that they have to think skillfully that for growing apple you should need that soil with that quality which will enhance the growth of apple. So they study a lot. They don't just like okay now let's grow this so they will grow that. No, then you have to see the soil capability and quality. Suppose you say your mama let's make pasta, so mama will say okay I have this, yes we can make pasta. Now suddenly once your mama is preparing for pasta and you can't say now mama make pav bhaji, because she might not have those ingredients which are required for the pav bhaji. So it's just an example that crop rotation only is successful when you choose your crops wisely. Like suppose now Kashmiri apple will be suitable in Kashmiri soil only. You can't, because that is they are quite colder place, there they have a snow, so hail, so they are very less temperature. That apple if you try to grow here, if you try to grow a saffron which is very famous in Kashmiri region or the cold region here, it might not be successful. So you have to do a crop rotation, but with using your brains and using the technique that which crop will grow after this in a best conditions. Or 3 crops can be grown in the year profitability, like so like it's like winters they choose something, for summers they have some other plan, and for the monsoon they grow something else. So that way for all the 3 seasons they grow some or the other crop, and by selling it they can earn the profit entire year. Now the season is of summer, and summer is famous for only 2 things majorly in our country. The one is wheat, like we store wheat grains for entire years. You might be like this year so we all are at home, but generally in summers you might be helping your mama for cleaning those grains. Nowadays of course majority of the people have shifted to ready flour, they go for ready flour, Ashirwad atta or some other atta, okay, and they make roti. But traditionally what we used to do is, even at my home is, I have a atta maker, so we take we store the grains of wheat for entire year. So every week whatever our requirement and necessity, according to that I churn those grains in atta maker, or you can call a machine. In that I make the flour, and that I am using for making rotis. So it's something like this season summer which is famous for the wheat, storage of wheat, and the second thing is Alfonso or Kesar mangoes. These are the types, these are the breeds of mango. You might be knowing some other names also, but these are the very 2 famous breeds of mango. They are popular not even only in Gujarat or India, even they are internationally. This Alfonso and Kesar from our Gujarat, they are very much famous and they are eaten well. So they will like now if they want to grow mango, so there should be a particular season and particular soil. Not also all soil or all type of soil can give you mango. Not all type of soil can give you wheat. Now we will talk about crop production, protection and management. So now if you imagine that your crop is ready, you need to protect it well, and you have to manage your silos and granaries well, so they are not been damaged with the help of rats or some other insects. So crops in the field are damaged by weeds, you know this. So we are using weedicides and insect pest, and so they are using insecticides and some of the diseases. So weeds are unwanted plants which grow in the field. Example is xanthium, parthium, saprium and rotundus. So these are the common examples of weeds which are grown along with the crops. So they compete with our crop for food, space, sunlight and the use of nutrients and reduce the crop yield. That means what they do is they take all the ready available nutrient from the soil, and at the same time they grow well, but they are unwanted. So eventually we need to cut them down. So before they grow so high, we should make sure that they in initial stage of their growth we should cut them down, so they don't compete with the food, nutrient, space and the soil and the sunlight for our desired crops. So insect pests cause damage to the roots, stems and the leaves, suck cell sap and bore into the stems and the fruits. That means they actually damage the cells of our stems and the fruits and the leaves. So they can reduce the crop yield and the quality of that yield. Now disease in the plants are caused by the pathogens like virus, bacteria, fungus, and they reduce the crop yield. Previous year we have discussed about the diseases that they used to take place in the plants. So that way also they reduce the yields. Now diseases, weeds, insect, they all can be controlled by using chemicals like weedicides, pesticides, fungicide, and they are sprayed on the crop plants or used for treating seeds and the soil. Since these chemicals are poisonous, excessive use of these chemicals can cause the environmental pollution. Now farmer have to be careful and cautious while using this pesticide and insecticides, because he is going to spread this over the crop, and eventually that crop is going to be used by the humans and the animals. So we can't afford that overuse of this poisonous chemicals, else it is going to be harmful to the humankind. Now storage of the grains. So the factor responsible for the damage and the loss of grains are biotic factors like bacteria, fungus, insect and the rodents. Now you might have seen that during this lockdown or the corona pandemic, there were many malls who were closed, like after 2 months and 3 months they got open. So doing so, they checked that the many of their grains like sugar and some other grains got spoiled, because they need a proper aeration. If you don't just take care of those stored grains, that they are going to get affected with the help of bacteria, fungus and insects, and they are going to spoil and no more in the condition for the eatable, edible items. And the abiotic factors which highly affect are the moisture and the temperature in the place of storage. Suppose you might have heard or you might have seen on the bottles, keep away from sunlight or keep in a dry and cool place. So why so? Because that food may get damaged with the change in the temperature. So before storage, the grains are cleaned and dried in the sunlight to remove excessive moisture, and the storage places are fumigated to kill the pest. So already they are like a sanitizer. We sanitize bus, cars and our working place. Similarly, this were fumigated to kill the pest. So this way they make sure that whatever grains or crops that they have packed, they are going to be protected against all those weeds, insect, pest and the diseases, and they are going to manage them well. Now most important is animal husbandry. Previous year we have also introduced the animal husbandry to you, and you also know what is an animal husbandry or what are the animal products. Now these days we are usually dependent upon the animal products, and so that it is important to take care all these animals to rear and shear them well, so they give a good quality of product to us. So major, if I give you example, like on which product do we depend on? So we depend on the dairy products. So that is the dairy product come from the milk, and for milk we depend on the cow, buffalo, goat, etc. Then we depend upon the wool. So wool is again a skin or the fur from the sheep, okay, and some of the camels or the yaks. Then thirdly, there are many people who depend on the eggs, meat, chicken, and fish. Now not only that they are used for eating purpose, even the fish, they are used for making some important medicinal oil and the vitamin sources. So we can say that the mankind is highly dependent upon the animal and animal products. So the animal husbandry is one of the important part along with the agriculture activities. So animal husbandry is the scientific management of animal livestock, including their feeding, breeding and disease control. So not only you have to feed them, you have to make sure they breed well. Now what is breeding? That they met together or they are kept for mating, so they multiply in their number, so their yields can be go on and on. Like they just grow chickens, they make sure the proper enough number of chickens are there, so they get the huge amount of eggs out of them. And the disease control, yes, because this animal products we are going to use either for the food aspect or some other aspect, so we make sure that they are disease free. Now animal farming includes cattle, sheep, goat, poultry and the fish farming. So the cattle farming is done for two main purposes. They are for milk production and the farm labor. Now milk production, female are called the milch animals, and those used for the farm labor are called the draught animals. So one which are going to give you milk, they are milch animals, and the one which are used for the labor purpose, they are known as draught animals. Now milk production depends on the duration of the lactation period. You know that the moment the cow is going to lactate, that milk is produced for her child, but at the same time that extra milk that we are extracting for our human use. So the period of milk production after the birth of calf. Milk production can be increased by increasing the lactation period. Foreign breeds like Jersey and Brown Swiss have long lactation period, and the local breeds like Red Sindhi and Sahiwal are resistant to the diseases. That means they don't get easily those insects, and they are mostly disease free. So they can be crossbred to get the animals with the both of the qualities. Like you can take a Jersey cow and you can take a Red Sindhi cow, and you can try for the hybrid of it. And if you prepare a hybrid of it, you can get the both quality of milk all together. Now cattle shelters should be clean and well ventilated with sloping floors for easy cleaning.